Now, more with the food police. John Banzaf is a law professor at George Washington University, and he's okay with the term food police.
Well, actually, no, John. You and I know it's a deceptive term because nothing I've done, my legal colleagues and I, has been trying to prevent any adult from eating as much as they want. What have we done? We've used legal action now to get calorie disclosures. Here in New York, where you enjoy it, soon it's going to go national. We now have studies showing that, yes, it does help people reduce their calorie intake. It is also putting tremendous pressure on major food companies. They are reducing the amount of calories in their offerings, and this allows them to make responsible choices. You want to talk about personal responsibility, you've got to give people information. The second thing we've been doing is fighting against misleading and deceptive advertising. Big corporations have paid out more than $20 million because of lawsuits that they mislead and misrepresent. If you're going to call me food police, then I'm the SWAT team because we use legal action to kick open the door. We used legal action early in the decade to jumpstart the anti-obesity movement.
Let's just be the food police. It's good.
Well,
legal action means force. A lawsuit
legal action
force.
Means using force.
You must pay.
Yeah, we pick on those poor defenseless corporations like McDonald's, KFC, Coke.
And when they pay millions of dollars, these companies, I'm forced to pay more for my McDonald's burger.
Well, if they hadn't lied, cheated, and deceived, then they wouldn't have to pay out that money, now would they? In every area, whether it's product liability, financial misrepresentation, or food, companies are punished when they do wrong. That's one of the strongest deterrents to prevent them from doing wrong, the fact that somebody like me may sue them.
And you also want warning labels on junk food.
I would like appropriate warning labels on junk food.
And what's junk food? How do you define it? I mean, is diet soda? Well, we made up a sample label. Here, take a look.
Tell me what it is.
Is this the kind of thing you'd like to see on junk food?
Well, it's not junk food. That's fast food. And you know who had a warning exactly like that? A big corporation. Its name was McDonald's. McDonald's in France actually told people, don't eat at McDonald's frequently. It will make you obese. If we use the same standards we use with regard to virtually all other products, that there must be a clear and conspicuous warning about any dangers or problems that a reasonable person would be interested in, I think that's appropriate. Why do you think it's not appropriate, John? Do you think it's wrong?
Yes, because it
You don't think eating fast food frequently can lead to obesity? Every study in the world, that's what it says.
That.
Look at, but we don't put warnings, John, up there for the best and brightest like you. And maybe
everybody knows.
No. They don't. We put the warnings up for people who may not know about it, may be immature, may be forgetful. That's why we have so many warnings, because people forget.
We have so many warnings because fear of you terrifying lawyers has caused companies to smear them on everything, like Stepladders.
And you know what happens? As a result, we are safer. That's why government, not me, but government requires warnings, because we know they work.
I have the stepladder here. I mean, you say we're safer, but how does this make us safer? There are 41 warnings on stepladders now.
You're counting all of these?
I'm counting all of these.
John, that's deceptive again. Most of these are instructions, not warnings. There's a big difference.
No,
between
don't do this,
and warning.
don't do that. But who the heck would ever read this stuff?
Well, the big warning is right here. Maybe the camera can bring it in. Do not stand or sit. And the reason it's there is that, yes, people forget. They stand on the top, they fall off, they get injured. You and I eventually wind up paying for it through higher taxes, Medicare and Medicaid.
And this will stop them, all these?
It won't stop all of them. But study after study shows that warnings are effective in preventing accidents. Why do you think governments all over the U.S., all over the world put warnings on?
Because governments grow and they're foolish.
No,
I don't read, nobody reads the label on the microwave. Glad to get some support there. You ought to read the label on the popcorn that says don't open it like this because it might burn you.
That's the only support you're going to get. Because if you had good, solid evidence that warnings didn't work, then why don't you come before legislative bodies? Why don't you come to court? Why don't you publish it in peer-reviewed literature and prove to the world, and then governments would stop requiring warning.
When you want to hold people responsible,
where's your evidence?
You need to give them the accurate. If we're holding people responsible, which I'm a big fan of personal accountability, you need to give people the information they need to make the most informed decision. Trans fat, more dangerous than other fats. People deserve to know that. We have the right to know if something that we're putting on ourselves or in ourselves is dangerous. No, that's actually not true.
We're living longer than ever in America.
Well, thanks to a sea of pharmaceuticals.
That's irrelevant.
You look at a particular cause and a particular disease, and the warnings do work. And I say again to you,
if you think poisoning ourselves, here's a graph of
that's the wrong number. Look at the quality of life, though. People are sicker longer than ever. They're, again, we talked about earlier, not dropping dead, but a purgatory of chronic illness.
Do you know the major reason behind that, John? Tell me the major reason.
Scientists that fought off you lawyers?
No, sir. No. Reductions in smoking caused in large part when I got the ban on cigarette commercials and increasingly restricting smoking in public places.
You saved all these lives.
I said it grew out of that.
Now you're going to save even more lives with taxes on junk food.
It'll be a deterrent
yes,
for children.
Because we know it works. And by the way, you got it again backwards. In most states, when I go in and buy something, whether it's a pencil, an eraser, or a piece of paper, I have to pay a sales tax. We don't charge a sales tax on food because we think, oh, we don't want to stop mothers from bringing home healthful food to their children. But why, if I pay a 5% tax in Virginia on books and papers and so on and so forth in that store, why shouldn't we likewise pay it on ho-hos, ding-dongs, and Coca-Cola? There's no public interest served in taking the tax off them.
Okay, well, Illinois has such a tax, 6% on candy. But they can't even define it. A Hershey bar is candy, but a Kit Kat bar isn't because it's got flour in it. I mean, these are endless lawyering.
Well, the fact that we need better definitions
the answer
is a good point.
The Onion, you've heard of it. The humor newspaper ran this spoof. Hershey's ordered to pay obese Americans $135 billion. To them, it was a joke that a court would hold a company responsible for people choosing to eat their product. But now, because of you, this is reality.
Yeah, and when I went on your show years ago and I said it was going to come, you laughed also. But we now have 10 out of 10 fat suits, over $20 million, changes across the food industry because people's views change, the law changes, and the answer is very simple. We're winning. We're using legal action. Calories are being reduced. We have disclosures. We have disclosures, we have less deceptive promotions, and none of this, John, is food police. Anybody in that audience can go out and eat as much as they want.
The Onion fake news story was very realistic. $135 billion in reparations to families of chocoholics. $27 billion for chocolate education and anti-snacking initiatives. Defendant knowingly added nuts to products.
Well, John, you can make fun of it, but we're winning. We go before juries, and we win, or in many cases, they give up. They are afraid to let a jury, people like this audience, decide the issues. McDonald's chickened out, $12.5 million. McDonald's chickened out again. KFC, Coke, Pepsi, they all chicken out because they're refusing to go in and let us be fair and balanced and let a jury such as your audience, 12 men and women off the streets, decide these issues.
For a decade, I've been hearing about the obesity crisis, and I assumed it was just a fact, that Americans are getting fatter all the time and it's killing people. But is it true, or is that a myth? And here's a wild thought. Could being overweight actually be healthier than being skinny? Yes, says our next guest.